Okay, welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us. In fact, Mr. Joshua in Irewolide is on the line. Good morning to you, sir.
Okay, Uncle Yori, good morning. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think what Mr. George was trying to say, to put a context to it, is what worries me is when contesting the result of an election becomes a war in itself. And that I also look at, how is that relate, what it has become. This is contesting the result of an election, and you're already in court, and you are fighting war over that. Going to TV stations, if you swear in this will happen, threatening democracy just because you are contesting the result of an election. I think that's a big concern. Secondly, sir, I've been trying to put this in context. People have been saying that Beavers failed. I've even heard from lawyers. It's not true that Beavers failed. It was iREV uploading the result of the presidential election. But the material thing here was that the election at the polling unit were signed, the results were signed by all the agents of political parties. It happened in my own polling unit. The result sheet was signed. So the authentic document for that election is that result sheet, not Beavers. It wasn't that Beavers accredited me and I voted through Beavers. So Beavers should have uploaded real time. The requirement would have been that, okay, after the election and the results sheet will now be uploaded through iREV, which, if there was a glitch, it does not invalidate the authenticity or, the credibility of that election. It's just that INEC was unable. They can say we had glitches. We were unable to upload at that time. Just like when Emefiele was trying to do this money thing, and we had glitch in the financial sector through transfers. There were problems. So technology can have a glitch. It does not mean that the election was bad.
Okay.
So we should have an understanding of all these things and not go petty.
Indeed.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for contributing that, and thank you much, Mr. Joshua, for waiting for us through that. So, separating those issues, I think that's also another of their plans.
Yes, that's but again, if we look at that,
INEC didn't
upload.
Chimamanda.
Yes, I read the letter. I read her letter. And the letter was obviously there was a Nigerian National Alliance for Diaspora, group, National Alliance for Diaspora, something in America, NADA, replied to the President of America. It was signed by two Nigerian physicians, one Dr. Aliu and Dr. Sheyi Senwoke, in which they contested what Chimamanda wrote. Now, let me make the matter very clear. The first thing, and I have spoken about this again and again, there is nothing like uploading in the Electoral Act. There is nothing like you have to upload. First of all, the Constitution gives INEC the power to conduct election, general power, unlimited power.
First of all.
First and foremost. And it can conduct it the way it wants, as long as it's not inconsistent with the Constitution. Now, if you look at Electoral Act, Section 24 to 74, deals with the day of election. What it says is very simple. Once you are certified to be a voter, and in this case, certification basically falls into two. They check you with Beavers, and you can also check yourself on the printout for consistency. You now go, you cast your vote, ballot, you receive on the confirmation that you are a voter, a legitimate registered voter, you get a ballot paper And you go into the cubicle, you vote and put it in a box. There's generally no contest about that. Like he said, the speaker said, the issue of beavers is not in controversy because most people...
The result sheet was actually signed. But could I interrupt you, because the caller who called in, and the call dropped, he has called back in, so he can complete his thoughts, and then you can answer to. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for calling back.
Thank you, Uncle Yori. Uncle Yori, what I was trying to say is that the litigants in this case, these people who are contesting this case, in their depth of mind, they know that they did not win and they cannot win this case. It is the judiciary that has given politicians the impetus to be practicing this, what has now become a norm, contesting an election that you know you did not win. I remember an example in Bayelsa State. The governor-elect was removed because he did anything wrong or he did not win the election, but that there was something wrong with the qualification of his deputy. So he was rehearsing the crowning for the next day, only for the court to say you cannot be governor. Such things make politicians to say, okay, let me just try. Even though I know I don't have I didn't win, maybe there will be one technical ground or the other for me to flood it that I want. That is how it has now almost become a norm. And I want to ask the elder statesman, we should do about this attitude of the judiciary. This is one. The second one, Uncle Yori, is the case that Reverend Dominic mentioned, that a fourth person, somebody who came fourth in an election, now became first. That case of Imo, let me remind us, the governor now, that is Governor Uzodinma, scored the highest number of votes when the election was announced. Those election results were announced in respective voting points. Then the electoral officers cancelled 250,000 votes at the collation centers. And that one took him back from first position to fourth position.
To number 4.
He contested it in court. The court says, no, there was no basis for cancelling those 250,000 votes that they cancelled. So that brought him back to his original first position.
Okay.
People need to know the truth about this matter. It's not as if he never scored the highest vote and he was just brought from the back to the front. No, that wasn't the case. So his case is different from what Obi is contesting now. Obi did not win majority number of votes. He does not have anything to prove that he is even second, not to talk about being first.
Well, okay. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George, and also putting a bit more flesh on that whole idea. Whether or not he won, well, Mr. Obi, he has the right to put forward
to
whatever.
Obviously, he's also challenging his victory in the East. Because if
by implication.
By implication, it's also challenging. Because if you look at it, it's almost impossible for a candidate to have 98%, and all the other parties, all of them combined, will have 2%. Which is actually what happened in the East.
But he's not talking about that.
It's not obviously not talking about that.
He's obviously not talking about that, you know.
So like I was saying...
Please continue.
Like I was saying, if you look at Electoral Act Section 24 to 74, what basically prescribes is once you now vote, the vote is counted. And because agents are there, agents of parties are there, naturally, the counting is an open counting. After the vote is counted, it is recorded. Once it is recorded, it is endorsed by the official and the agents of the parties and the security agent. And once it is endorsed, a copy is given to the security and the agent, the same copy that is retained. Before that copy is now transferred to the collation center. Now, those who are complaining about uploading...
That very document, that the information in that document was not uploaded.
It is totally not... It's meaningless. Whether it is uploaded or not uploaded, It does not change anything.
Yeah, but that's where they're that's where they're able to say INEC broke its own, if not promise, assertion.
Yeah, but the INEC said is going to upload according to them. So if INEC says it's uploading, INEC can change his mind. For all what INEC cannot change is the law. INEC can change his mind, but it cannot change the mind of the law. So it should be very clear.
All the facts, because as you're explaining, the issue seems to be now, all those documents that were filled upon activities at that election and that were signed by all concerned.
It cannot be changed because the law specifies that the votes must be counted at the voting unit because that's where you voted. And after counting, endorsed, certified, confirmed by the signature of both the agent and the official. And you now get copies. So if you are saying that it's not uploaded, what's the effect of that really? Does it defeat what was signed? In any case, as I have said, in our law, Electoral Act 2022, there is nothing that requires that votes cast at that unit should be uploaded.
So that, well, it's clear, but again, the law being what it is, some people irreverently, even some lawyers themselves, say the law can be an ass from time to time. And that, I think, was the point that Mr. George was making, that people know this, and so say, look, let's just go.
I think that is the way. That is the reason why we have all this public campaign. They know they cannot make it in the tribunal, and we should be careful in this country because all this, effervescence and the noise and the cataclysm and so on and so forth appears to be laying the foundation for disorder after they are defeated.
Yes,
because they have really no substantial case.
So I wonder where erudite lawyer, not just lawyers, not just senior lawyers, so you trust the intellectual process you would ordinarily, then come up and, are really arguing this and sweating with their passion in so doing, and you're wondering, where is all of this coming from?
Sometimes lawyers want attention. With due respect, lawyers want attention. I mean, they talk nonsense many times. You understand what I mean?
Intentionally, sometimes.
Yes.
It's not that
they talk nonsense. Because sometimes you wonder, how can a lawyer be saying this? You understand what I mean? But then, I guess it's based on the presumption that sometimes nonsense can become sense by the surprise of law, so to say. So I don't get it.
We're just, days away, so to speak, from the 29th, which is Inauguration Day, when the president-elect will indeed be sworn in. So if the tribunals are commencing work next week, I wonder how quickly they are going to move. Certainly, I shouldn't say certainly, it shouldn't still be a matter that is in progress by the time the 29th comes around, should it? But please don't answer yet, sir. Let me take Mazi Okorafor so as not to keep him waiting too long. He's called in all the way from Arochukwu. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning. That's Mazi Okorafor from Arochukwu. You see, if I have my way, I would have suggested to the Nigerian government, the National Assembly, let us make our constitution very, very visible. That is, that anything that has to do with election tribunal, that it should go straight to Supreme Court, not going to be straight to the Supreme Court, the final judgment there and then, whether it is 1 week or 2 weeks, everything else, it will meet up the time of this swearing ceremony on the 29th of May. Because this is, when you go to court, from appeal court, you have days or weeks, days and days before you go to Supreme Court. It kills time, it makes tension very hard. And I'll suggest to the judiciary, as a matter of urgency, this election tribunal case presentation is coming up on Monday, as they rightly say, based on national dailies and they name them. They should televise everything live. And it is high time for our judicial system to be digital. So they need to be digitalized. All these are paper writing, prolonged issues. The president of the legislative compliment with the issue of shorthand. Because if you go digital, before you talk to everything is finished. We are still going on all these analog cases, analog form of cases. It is not easy.
Okay.
Let us meet up the challenges and what is going on presently. Digital judicial system, not analog. Good morning, Mazi.
Thank you, Mazi. Mazi saying there that, make all of this as plain as possible to the ordinary people, as we go along. So maybe you could take it from there. First of all, if the applicants are not satisfied with the decision, can they go further to the Supreme Court?
Yes, they can.
So that's why he was saying that. Let them just take this to the Supreme Court once and for all.
Well, but the court, it will be difficult for that because the process of appeal allows a review and it's allowed for certainty and the confidence of law. So you cannot, the same court that has original jurisdiction cannot also be the court that has appellate jurisdiction, except in very special cases.
Okay.
For example, in a case between the federal government and the states, or between the National Assembly and the executive and the government of the federation. In such special cases, because of the urgency to take that decision, the law imposes both original capacity, jurisdiction on the court, but in that case, you don't have appellate jurisdiction. You understand what I mean? You have only original jurisdiction, and the decision is final.
So, so just pursuing the theoretical, if perchance somebody who approached the tribunal that Bola Ahmed Tinubu didn't win in his point of view, and there's the decision that the tribunal says he did win, and you say, okay, I'm going to exercise my further right. I'm going to the Supreme Court. Yes. Meanwhile, in the process, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been sworn in as the president of the Federal Republic.
Yes, yes.
So you can still continue after that, theoretically.
Yes, you can.
And the idea would be that you would hope that they would say, okay, finally you have won.
But you must appreciate that the law can wake the dead. That's the power of the law. The law can wake the dead.
Indeed.
Yeah, and the law can stop the dead from being buried.
That's
the power of the law.
Mr. Mohammed in Abuja, good morning to you, sir.
Thank you for this wonderful program today.
Okay.
And I pray mostly so that you bring this type of program on live TV so that people should know. This issue of finishing tribunal before swearing in, it has not started now. It has not started with Buhari's government. This law is there in the line since democracy started, since over 1999. We have to. It has a period of time of tribunal to take its course. It has to follow the cases step by step. We cannot say because Obio Atiku contested, so for that we should now jettison what is on there before, because somebody that is claiming that he win, he has to know his fate before they swear in, demand that win legally. And concerning the issue of vote, that majority did not vote for Aswaju, the same thing, if you say 6 million win, majority did not vote for 6 million. So let's be clear with this, our sentiment in Nigeria. And then the issue of Abuja FCT is part of state. It's one of the states too, because that's why the FCT minister has ADC, has CSO, is treated like Abuja. What the law says that you must have 25% in 24 states. If you have 25% in 23 states and you get 25% in Abuja, that automatically becomes 24 states.
Yes. That's right.
Law.
That's right.
That is the law. Mm-hmm. Abuja is not treated especially. Abuja is not a special country on its own. Yeah. Abuja is in Nigeria. It's a state. The FCT minister has a ADC, has a chief detail. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with all the states.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed, for calling in. Dr. Abayomi went over this before. And as Mr. Mohammed has just explained it there, if you get the 25% requirement in 23 states, and then in Abuja, then you have it in 24 states for the purpose of this election.
Because Abuja is counted like a state.
But to now turn that around and say, well, You didn't get Abuja, therefore your 23 states in this example are invalidated. You cannot be said to be the winner because you didn't get to but I did, but you didn't. So there's no way you be considered the winner before me.
Yeah, when people are actually talking of Abuja, what they forget is that the issue is not even about Abuja. The issue is about the votes of citizens. The equality of votes of citizens. There is no unequal vote. One vote is equal to another vote, regardless of where you are in Nigeria. Therefore, you cannot now... Yes.
So the position that those people are making would be making Abuja votes special. Golden votes.
We will be making the voters in Abuja super higher than the voters in my state, Ondo State.
Yes.
And that is an impossibility. You understand? You cannot treat it. It's what we call equal protection under the law. You cannot, like I said, you cannot treat equals unequally. Just as you cannot treat unequals equally.
But as I said, very senior lawyers are canvassing the very opposite of what you have just said. And are writing it in articles, lengthy articles in papers.
Lawyers canvass different things. We cannot really totally blame them. Because there are existing principles that are often, by law, reversed. I was arguing just a few weeks ago, and I was telling the court there's nothing like inherent jurisdiction. But inherent jurisdiction has been pronounced, propounded, spoken about, and so on and so on, for God alone knows. And I'm telling the judge there's no law like inherent jurisdiction. Jurisdiction of the court must be specially and specifically divested. What you have is inherent power of the court, not inherent jurisdiction. But lawyers will go to court and talk of inherent jurisdiction all the time. So sometimes laws surprise us.
Exactly. And when this happens, when the lawyers are really in full flow like that, those of us unlearned usually we just look like this. But thank God there are many more lawyers that you can call.
That is
please,
it.
Come and decipher this.
That is it.
What is hogwash here? And what is
precisely,
fact, you know?
Precisely.
And oftentimes, which is what the tribunals do, actually. They try to determine what exactly is hogwash.
Exactly. And that is why we go to court. I mean, the law will take its course and say, okay, what you have said cannot be sustained. It's unsustainable in law, and the court will decide.
The way the ordinary man on the street sees it, as I said at the top of the program, Tinubu scored 8.8 million votes. Atiku scored 6.9 million votes. And Obi scored 6.1 million votes.
Almost equal in terms of gap.
Very tight,
close to 2 million in each case.
Exactly. And you brought up the issue of Obi's camp. We're not complaining about the 98%.
Yes, 96%. It's not, and when people look at it, they say, oh, 98%. It's not just against APC or Tinubu. It's against all the other parties combined.
That's right. Because there are 15 others. Apart from these three, there are 15 other parties.
That is it. In other words, where Obi scored 98% in some states in the East, all the other parties, that is to say 17 other political parties, who contested for the election in the same region had only 2%. That is clear impossibility.
That is what Dele Alake of the now dissolved Presidential Campaign Council called an electoral improbability.
Impossibility.
Impossibility, Papa.
They call it improbability. I call it electoral impossibility.
Okay. You know, this is... we just had to, because it's a week, well, on Monday, so we had to talk about this, and since you were in town, we said we'd get hold of you and shed some light on this. It's about as much as we can say for now on the issue, waiting for, waiting for Monday to come and for all of this to be dealt with and for the tribunal to pronounce what exactly.
We are, as a nation, waiting for inauguration.
On the 20th, that is what everybody is waiting for.
I think what we should focus on now is the support for the president, because the nation faces him with somber challenge.
That's right.
And what we need to do, pray for him, support him, because, yes, you have won election, but it is also important to win the minds of the people.
Indeed.
Through good performance.
That's right. And it's instructive that only yesterday, Tinubu was speaking on this whole matter, that the way he would seek to serve the country would be to govern without fear or favor, and the whole equity. That there will be no place.
It's not going to establish ethnocentric
at all.
Government.
That's not going.
It's going to join, and that is what I have always been talking about. I have always spoken about Nigerianity, the concept of Nigerianity, which I developed in my book, State and Citizens. Let us focus on the Nigerian citizen. Forget about our region, religion, and ethnicity. The Nigerian citizen, the Nigerianness of the Nigerian, the concept of Nigerianity. I think that's what is going to guide the president-elect, who I'm glad I was one of his fiercest supporters.
Okay, then. So we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much, Dr. Tunji Abayomi, constitutional lawyer and Pro-Chancellor Adekunle Ajasin University, for coming along and chatting with us on this subject.
Thank you, and thank you, Nigerian viewers.
Expert views. Yes. Okay, so that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.